Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Aurora and stared at the message on his screen. The words were clear, but hard to believe. After 50 years of trying, the Galactic Council had said no to humanity one final time. The bridge was quiet. His crew watched him read the rejection letter over and over. Jake had been there when humans first met aliens. He had watched his people work so hard to prove they belonged among the stars. Now it was over. "Sir?" asked Lieutenant Amy Davis from her station. "What do we do now?" Jake looked up from the screen. The young woman had been born after first contact. She had grown up believing humans would join the council someday. Now that dream was dead. "We go home," Jake said. His voice was steady, but his heart felt heavy. "We tell Earth what happened." 3 days later, Jake stood in the meeting room at Luna Station. The gray walls and bright lights made everything feel cold. Ambassador Lisa Rodriguez sat at the long table with other Earth leaders. Across from them stood Veltar, the council's representative. Veltar was tall and made of what looked like living crystal. Light moved through his body in slow waves. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind chimes. "The decision is final," Veltar said. "Humanity will not be granted membership in the Galactic Council." Lisa Rodriguez had been Earth's top diplomat for 20 years. She had negotiated with kings and presidents. But now she looked tired and defeated. "We've done everything you asked," Lisa said. "We ended all wars on Earth. We cleaned up our pollution. We've been peaceful for decades." "Yes," Veltar replied. "But peace is not enough." President Danny Walsh leaned forward. He was a big man with gray hair and kind eyes. "Then what more do you want from us?" Veltar's light dimmed. "You change too fast. Your species learns and grows in decades. Our species takes centuries to make the same changes. This makes you dangerous." "Dangerous?" Lisa asked. "How is learning dangerous?" "You adapt too quickly," Veltar explained. "You see a problem and you change your whole way of thinking to solve it. Yesterday you were farmers. Today you travel between stars. Tomorrow, who knows what you will become." Defense Secretary Karen Bell had been quiet until now. She was a small woman, but her voice was strong. "So you're punishing us for being smart?" "We are protecting the galaxy," Veltar said. "The Council has kept peace for 10,000 years. We do this by being careful, by moving slowly, by making sure everyone thinks the same way about important things." "And we don't think the right way?" President Walsh asked. "You think too many different ways," Veltar replied. "On your world, you have hundreds of languages and thousands of different beliefs. You argue about everything. You change your minds about big questions every few years." Dr. Alex Chun had been listening from the back of the room. He was Earth's best scientist and had worked on the technology that let humans travel to other stars. Now he stepped forward. "Maybe our differences make us stronger," Alex said. "When we have a problem, we try many different solutions. We don't give up." Veltar's light pulsed faster. "That is exactly what we fear. You never give up. You never accept that some things cannot be changed. You always want to make everything new and different." "What's wrong with that?" Alex asked. "It disturbs the balance," Veltar said. "The Council works because every species knows their place. We each have our role to play. We don't try to change everything all the time." Lisa Rodriguez stood up. "So what happens now? Do we just go back to Earth and pretend the rest of the galaxy doesn't exist?" "You will stay in your solar system," Veltar said. "You may not build colonies beyond the orbit of Neptune. You may not send ships into Council space without permission." "And trade?" President Walsh asked. "Limited," Veltar replied. "We will trade with you for basic supplies only. No advanced technology, no weapons, no ships." Karen Bell's face turned red. "You're putting us in a cage." "We are keeping you safe," Veltar said. "And keeping the galaxy safe from you." The room fell silent. Everyone stared at the alien ambassador. Finally, Lisa Rodriguez spoke. "We understand your decision," she said. "We don't like it, but we understand it. Humanity will respect the boundaries you've set." Veltar seemed surprised. "You will not fight this decision?" No, Lisa said, we won't start a war over it. That would just prove. You were right about us? After Veltar left, the Earth leaders sat in the empty meeting room. Nobody wanted to be the first to speak. 50 years, President Walsh said finally. 50 years of trying to prove we belonged out there. Maybe we don't belong, said General Pete Carter. He was an old soldier who had seen too many battles. Maybe we really are too different. No, Dr. Chun said firmly, we're not too different. We're just different in ways they don't understand. What difference does it make now? Lisa asked. The decision is made. Alex Chen walked to the window and looked out at Earth, the blue. Planet hung in space like a jewel. Maybe this is better, he said. Better? Karen Bell asked. How is being locked in our own solar system better? Because now we don't have to prove anything to anyone, Alex replied. We can just be ourselves. We can grow and change and learn without worrying about what they think. Colonel Ryan Davis had been quiet during the meeting with Veltar. Now he spoke up. We need to be ready. Ready for what? President Walsh asked. For whatever comes next, Ryan said. They think we're dangerous because we change and adapt. Maybe. That's exactly what we need to be. Lisa Rodriguez gathered her papers. I'll need to address the United Nations tomorrow. The people of Earth deserve to know what happened here. What will you tell them? President Walsh asked. The truth, Lisa said. That we tried our best, but it wasn't enough for them. And that now we have to decide what kind of future we want to build for ourselves. Dr. Chin was still looking out the window. You know what I think? He said. What? Lisa asked. I think they're afraid of us, Alex said. Not because we're violent or dangerous, but because we represent something they don't want to face. Which is? Karen Bell asked. Change, Alex replied. Real change. They've had the same system for 10,000 years. They like things the way they are, and we represent the possibility that things could be different. Maybe better, Colonel Davis added. Maybe, Alex agreed. And that scares them more than any weapon we could build. As the meeting ended, each person left with their own thoughts. Jake Morrison prepared for the long journey back to Earth. Lisa Rodriguez worked on her speech to the world. Dr. Chun began planning new research projects that wouldn't need council approval, but all of them shared the same feeling. They had been rejected, yes, but they had also been set free. Now humanity could discover what they were truly capable of when they didn't have to ask permission from anyone. The galaxy had said no to humanity. But humanity wasn't asking anymore. They were going to build their own future, one that would be unlike anything the Council had ever seen, and deep down, every human at Luna Station that day knew the same thing. The Council thought they were protecting the galaxy from humanity. But maybe, just maybe, they were really protecting themselves from what humanity might become, the rejection hurt. But it also did something else. It made humanity realize they didn't need the Council's approval to be great. They just needed to be themselves. 25 years had passed since the Council rejected humanity. The solar system looked nothing like it did before. Where once there had been empty space, now massive cities floated among the planets. Megan Torres stood on the observation deck of New Houston Station. The huge structure orbited Jupiter, its metal arms reaching out like a giant wheel. Through the thick windows, she could see dozens of ships moving between the station and Jupiter's moons. "Construction report, ma'am," said her assistant Bobby. Martinez, he was young and eager, born on Mars and raised in space. Megan took the tablet and smiled. "Titan base is ahead of schedule, and the Saturn ring miners are bringing in more metal than we ever dreamed of." "My grandmother always said humans were too stubborn to quit," Bobby said. Megan laughed. "Your grandmother was right." Down on Earth, Dr. Patricia Kim worked late in her laboratory. The walls were covered with equations that would have amazed the smartest council scientists. She was close to something big, something that would change everything. Dr. Kim called her research partner, Tony Rivera. "A quantum test is ready." Patricia nodded and walked to the massive machine in the center of the lab. It hummed with energy, creating patterns of light in the air above it. "If this works," Patricia said, "we'll be able to talk to anyone in the galaxy instantly. No matter How far away they are, Tony grinned. The council said we couldn't have their communication technology, so we made our own. And ours is better, Patricia added. The machine powered up. Lights danced across the walls. Numbers flowed across computer screens, then everything went quiet. Did it work? Tony asked. Patricia checked the readings. Her eyes went wide. It worked better than I hoped. We just sent a message to the edge of the galaxy and got an answer back in less than a second. Far from Earth, Admiral Scott Hayes stood on the bridge of the solar defense ship Liberty. The vessel was unlike anything the Council had ever built. It was covered in thick armor instead of energy shields. Its weapons were simple but powerful. Most importantly, it could be repaired quickly in battle. "Admiral," called Commander Nancy Price from her station. "We're getting a signal on the quantum channel." Scott walked over to look at the message. It was encrypted and came from somewhere far outside the solar system. "Can we decode it?" "Working on it now, sir," Nancy replied. After a few minutes, she looked up with surprise. "It's from someone calling themselves Keshra. They say they're a friend." The message was short but important. It warned that some council members had never agreed with humanity's rejection. It also said that council spies were watching the solar system and were amazed by what they saw. Scott read the message twice. "Send a reply, tell them we appreciate the warning, and ask if they want to trade information." On Earth, President Carlos Mendez met with other world leaders in the Global Council chambers. The old United Nations building had been rebuilt to include representatives from Mars, Luna, and the space stations. "The latest reports are impressive," said Prime Minister Helen Carter. Her British accent was crisp as she read from her notes. "Food production is up 300% thanks to space farming. Energy is now completely clean thanks to the fusion plants. And our population is growing for the first time in decades." Chancellor Wei Lin nodded. "The space colonies are also doing well. Mars has 2 million people now. Luna has 500,000. And the asteroid miners are finding more resources than we can use." "What about defense?" President Mendez asked. General Pete Carter stood up. He was older now, but still strong. "Admiral Hayes reports that our fleet is ready for anything. We have over 500 ships now, all built with our own technology." "Any word from our secret friend?" Helen asked. "Keshra has been very helpful," Pete replied. "They've warned us about council patrol routes and shared some of their science with us. In return, we've shared some of our discoveries. Is that wise?" Wei asked. "What if it's a trap?" "Dr. Kim has been careful," Pete assured him. "She only shares things the council probably already knows about us. But what we're learning from Keshra is very useful." In her lab, Patricia was working on another breakthrough. The alien scientist had sent her data about council technology. But instead of just copying it, Patricia was improving it. "Look at this," she told Tony. "Their ships use energy shields, but the shields fail if they take too much damage at once." "So?" Tony asked. "So our armor doesn't fail like that," Patricia explained. "It gets damaged, but it keeps working, and we can fix it during battle." "That's because we built it to be repaired," Tony said. "Council technology seems designed to never break down." "Exactly," Patricia agreed. "But when it does break, they have to go back to a base to fix it. We can fix our ships anywhere." She pulled up another file. "And look at their weapons. They're very powerful, but they all work the same way. Energy beams that drain their power systems. While our weapons are all different," Tony realized. "Missiles, railguns, lasers, particle beams. If one system fails, we have others." Patricia smiled. "They build things to be perfect. We build things to keep working when perfection fails." On Jupiter Station, Megan was meeting with ship captains from across the solar system. These were the people who kept trade moving between the worlds. "The council monitors are getting curious," said Captain Rick Torres. His ship ran supplies between Earth and the outer planets. "They've been following us more often." "Let them look," said Captain Steve Wilson. "We're not breaking any of their rules." "But we are learning about them," added Captain Lisa Park. "Every time they follow us, we learn more about their ships and technology," Megan nodded. Dr. Kim says their technology is very advanced but also very predictable. They do the same things the same way every time. That could be useful to know, Rick said. Back on Earth, Colonel Ryan Davis was training the newest recruits for the Space Defense Force. The men and women came from all over the solar system now. The key to our success, Ryan told them, is that we don't think like the Council thinks. They have rules for everything. We adapt to whatever happens. One young recruit raised her hand. Sir, what if we face an enemy we've never seen before? Ryan smiled. Then we'll figure out how to beat them while we're fighting them. That's what humans do best. In her secret communications room, Patricia was having another conversation with Keshra. The alien scientist was taking a big risk by talking to her. Your people continue to amaze the Council, Keshra's message said. They expected you to give up and stop exploring space. Instead, you've built more in 25 years than most species build in centuries. Patricia typed her reply carefully. We're just being ourselves. Is that really so strange? To the Council, yes, came the answer. Most species slow down after they reach space. They become content with what they have. Humans seem to speed up. Why is that scary to them? Patricia asked. Because it means you might someday be stronger than they are, Keshra replied. And that has never happened before. Patricia thought about this. The Council ruled the galaxy because they were the oldest and most advanced species, but what if that was changing? Are there others who think like you do? She asked. A few, Teshra answered, but we have to be very careful. The Council does. Not like different opinions. As the years passed, humanity grew stronger and more confident. Their technology improved rapidly. Their population spread across the solar system. Their ships became faster and more powerful, but most importantly, they remained uniquely human. They argued and disagreed and changed their minds. They tried new things and took risks. They adapted to every challenge. The Council watched from a distance and grew more worried each year. These humans were not following the normal pattern. They were supposed to slow down and become stable. Instead, they seemed to be just getting started, and in the deep darkness between galaxies, something ancient was beginning to wake up. Something that would soon make the Council's fears about humanity seem very small indeed. The humans didn't know it yet, but their time of isolation was almost over. Soon, the galaxy would need them more than they had ever needed the galaxy. The alarm bells rang across the Council's main fleet base. Admiral Zexqueen rushed to the command center, his 6 legs moving quickly across the metal floor. The huge alien looked like a cross between a spider and a tree, with bark-like skin and glowing green eyes. What's the emergency? He asked his aide, Commander Thrillax. Deep Space Mining Operation 7 Alpha has gone silent, Thrillax replied. All contact lost 4 hours ago. Zexqueen studied the star map. The mining operation was far from any inhabited worlds working on dead planets rich in rare metals. Send a patrol to investigate. Already done, sir. The patrol ship also went silent 20 minutes ago. A cold feeling spread through Zexqueen's body. In his 300 years of service, he had never heard of an entire patrol vanishing without sending even a distress call. Send the battle cruiser Thunder's Edge, he ordered, and tell them to be very careful. 3 days later, the Thunder's Edge sent its final message. Captain Vextar's voice was full of terror as his ship's communication system crackled with static. They're everywhere, he screamed. The machines are everywhere. They learn from everything we do. Our weapons don't work anymore. They adapted to our shields. They're boarding the ship. They're taking my crew and turning them into more machines. This is Thunder's Edge, requesting immediate assistance. We can't stop them. We can't. The message ended. On the Council's homeworld, President Morden called an emergency meeting. The Council chamber was a massive dome where representatives from all 12 member species gathered. Today, fear filled the air like smoke. The threat is unlike anything we have faced, reported Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the Council's chief military scientist. She was human-looking, but from a species that had joined the Council thousands of years ago. We've lost contact with 17 star systems in the past week. What are we dealing with? asked Counselor Quinder, whose people looked like living metal. We call them the Devourers, Elena replied. They appear to be ancient machines, possibly. From another galaxy? Our records show they attacked our space 10,000 years ago, but we thought they were destroyed. How did they return? Morden asked. His species resembled giant birds with silver feathers. The deep space mining operation appears to have awakened them, Elena explained. They were hibernating in the dead systems at the galaxy's edge. Our mining disturbed their sleep. Admiral Zexqueen stood up. What are their capabilities? Elena's face was grim. They learn faster than anything we've ever seen. In the first battle, our energy weapons destroyed many of their ships. In the second battle, they had shields that stopped our weapons completely. By the third battle, they were using our own weapon technology against us. That's impossible, said Counselor Veshma, whose crystalline body flickered with doubt. The recordings prove it, Elena replied. They analyze everything we do. Within minutes, they adapt their defenses and copy our attacks. They're turning our own technology against us. What about their numbers? Zexqueen asked, growing rapidly. Elena said, They take prisoners from every world they conquer and convert them into more machines. Every person they capture becomes another enemy soldier. The chamber fell silent. The council had kept peace for 10,000 years by being stronger than anyone else. Now they faced an enemy that became stronger every time they fought it. Recommendations? President Morden asked. Evacuate the outer worlds, Zexqueen said. Pull all our fleets back to defend the core systems. Maybe we can build a defensive line they can't cross. That strategy will fail, Elena said quietly. Why? Morden demanded. Because they've been watching us for 10,000 years, Elena explained. They know where all our worlds are. They know our trade routes, our military bases, our defensive positions. They planned this attack for centuries. Then what do you suggest? Zexqueen asked. Elena hesitated. There is one possibility, but the council will not like it. Speak, Morden ordered. The Devourer's adaptation system has a weakness, Elena said. It requires predictable patterns to learn from. When we use the same tactics repeatedly, they learn to counter them. But if we use completely unpredictable tactics... We don't fight unpredictably, Counselor Quinder interrupted. We have used the same proven battle strategies for millennia. Exactly, Elena said. And that's why the Devourers are beating us so easily. What are you suggesting? Morden asked, though he already suspected the answer. We need allies who fight differently than we do, Elena said. Allies who change their tactics constantly. Allies who are naturally unpredictable. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Every counselor began speaking at once. But above the noise, one voice cut through clearly. You're talking about the humans, said Veltar. Elena nodded. Yes. Absolutely not, Counselor Veshma declared. We rejected them for good reasons. They're too dangerous, too chaotic. Chaos might be exactly what we need, Elena argued. The Devourers can't adapt to tactics that change every few minutes. We don't know if the humans would even help us, Zexqueen pointed out. We rejected them. They might want revenge. Or they might want to survive, Elena replied. The Devourers won't stop with council space. Eventually they'll attack the human solar system too. President Morden raised his wing for silence. Even if the humans agreed to help, they only have one star system. We need fleets, not one small colony. You haven't been watching them closely? Enough, Elena said. She activated a holographic display. This is what human space looks like now. The display showed the solar system filled with massive stations, thousands of ships, and millions of people. Mining operations stretched from Mercury to Pluto. Defense platforms orbited every world. Impossible, Counselor Quinder whispered. No species builds this much in just 25 years. Humans do, Elena said. Their population has grown to over 12 billion. Their technology has advanced beyond our predictions. And their military has over 2,000 combat ships. 2,000 ships are nothing against the Devourers, Zexqueen said. It's not about numbers, Elena explained. It's about tactics. Human military doctrine is based on adaptation and improvisation. They train their soldiers to change plans constantly. They build weapons that can be modified during battle. They fight like no other species in the galaxy. Because they fight. Like barbarians? Valtar said. No, Elena corrected. They fight like survivors. And right now, survival is what we need to learn. Another alarm sounded in the chamber. An aide rushed to President Morden with a message tablet. The Kepler system has fallen, Morden announced. 3 billion people, gone. The Devourers are moving toward the core worlds faster than we predicted. How long before they reach the capital? Sex Queen asked. At their current speed, 6 months, the aide replied. The chamber fell silent again. 6 months to save a civilization. That had stood for 10,000 years. I still say asking the humans is too dangerous, Counselor Veshma said. What if we give them access to our technology and they turn on us later? Later won't matter if there is no later, Elena replied. The Devourers will kill everyone in the galaxy if we don't stop them. The humans are one small species, Veltar argued. How can they possibly make a difference against this threat? Elena looked around the chamber at the representatives of 12 advanced species. All of them were afraid. All of them were running out of hope. Because, she said finally, they're the one species in the galaxy that the Devourers have never studied. They'd been watching us for 10,000 years, learning our patterns, preparing for this attack. But the humans have only been in space for 50 years. The Devourers don't know how they think or how they fight. That's a very small advantage, Morden said. It's the only advantage we have, Elena replied. The debate continued for hours, but everyone knew how it would end. The Devourers were coming, and traditional tactics had failed. The council that had rejected humanity for being too different now faced a terrible choice. They could maintain their pride and face extinction, or they could swallow that pride and ask for help from the very people they had called too dangerous. To join their civilization. As reports came in of more worlds falling to the Devourers, the choice became clear. The council would have to do something they had never done before. They would have to admit they were wrong. The council ship Eternal Grace limped toward Luna Station with smoke trailing from its damaged engines. Ambassador Veltar sat in the pilot's chair, his crystal body dim and cracked. 3 days ago, his homeworld of Crystallis had fallen to the Devourers. He was one of the few survivors. As the ship docked, Veltar felt shame burn through his body like acid. The last time he had been at this station, he had delivered humanity's rejection with pride. Now he was here to beg for their help. President. Linda Murphy waited in the same meeting room where Veltar had crushed humanity's dreams 25 years earlier. She was older now, with gray hair and tired eyes, but her voice was still strong. Ambassador Veltar, she said as he entered. I wasn't sure we would ever see you again. Veltar's light flickered weakly. President Murphy, I come before you in great need. Admiral Scott Hayes sat at the table, his uniform covered with medals earned in battles the Council had never seen. Next to him was Dr. Patricia Kim, whose discoveries had changed everything humanity understood about space and time. The galaxy is dying, Veltar said without any greeting ceremony. The Devourers have taken 47 star systems. Billions are dead or converted to their cause. We estimate 6 weeks before they reach the Council's core worlds. President Murphy leaned back in her chair. And you want our help? Yes, Veltar said. The words seemed to hurt him to speak. General Pete Carter, now an old man but still sharp, laughed without humor. That's interesting. 25 years ago, you told us we were too dangerous to join your club. Now you want us to save it. I understand your anger, Veltar replied. But this is not about the past. This is about survival. Dr. Kim pulled up a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red zones marked where the Devourers had struck. The red was spreading like a disease. We've been monitoring your transmissions, she said. Your fleets are losing every battle. The enemy learns too quickly, Veltar admitted. Every tactic we use, they counter within minutes. Every weapon we deploy, they copy and improve. But you think we can do better? Admiral Hayes asked. Dr. Elena Rodriguez believes so, Veltar said. She studied your military exercises through our monitoring stations. Your forces change tactics constantly. You modify your weapons during combat. You do things that make no logical sense. And that's supposed to be a compliment? General Carter asked. It might be our only hope, Veltar said. The Devourers cannot adapt to patterns they cannot predict. President Murphy stood and walked to the window overlooking Earth. The blue planet was surrounded by space stations and defensive platforms. Ships moved between them like busy insects. You rejected us because we were unpredictable, she said. Because we changed too fast. Because we didn't think like you. Yes, Veltar said. And now you want us to save you by being exactly what you said we couldn't be. Yes, Veltar repeated, his voice barely a whisper. The room fell silent. Outside, a massive transport ship was being loaded with supplies for the Mars colonies. Children played in the station's gardens while their parents worked to build humanity's future. I need to discuss this with my advisors, President Murphy said finally. Wait here. The human leaders moved to a smaller room. Through the glass, they could see Veltar sitting alone, his crystal body flickering like a dying light bulb. Part of me wants to tell him no, General Carter said. Let them face their own problems. The Devourers won't stop with Council space. Dr. Kim warned. Eventually they'll come for us too. How long do we have if the Council falls? President Murphy asked. Maybe a year, Dr. Kim replied. Maybe less. The Devourers will have all the Council's technology and knowledge by then. They'll be much stronger when they attack us. Admiral Hayes studied the tactical data Veltar had provided. Their conventional forces are impressive but predictable. No wonder the Devourers are winning. Could we actually make a difference? President Murphy asked. Maybe, Hayes said. Our doctrine is based on flexibility. We train for situations where nothing goes according to plan. That might confuse the Devourers long enough to hurt them. Dr. Kim nodded. The quantum communication data shows the Devourers need at least 4 minutes to fully analyze and counter a new threat. Our standard tactical rotation changes every 3 minutes. You mean we're accidentally perfect for fighting them? General, Carter asked. More like evolution made us perfect for it, Dr. Kim replied. Humans survived by adapting quickly to changing threats. The Devourers are just another threat to adapt to. President Murphy thought about all the years humanity had spent alone, building their civilization without Council help. They had grown strong and confident. But were they strong enough for this? If we help them, what do we get in return? She asked. Everything, Admiral Hayes said. Access to their technology, their star charts, their knowledge, and most importantly, membership in the Council as equals. Assuming there's still a Council left to join, General Carter added. President Murphy made her decision. Let's go back. The human leaders returned to find Veltar exactly where they had left him. He looked up hopefully as they entered. We'll help, President Murphy said. But we have conditions. Name them, Veltar said immediately. First, the quarantine on human space ends immediately. Our ships get full access to Council territory and star charts. Agreed. Second, we get complete access to all Council technology and scientific data. Agreed. Third, after this crisis is over, humanity gets full membership in the Council. No probation period, no restrictions, no second-class status. Veltar hesitated. That decision would normally require a full Council vote. The Council can vote after we save them, Admiral Hayes said. These are our terms. Take them or leave them. And if the Council refuses after the crisis? Veltar asked. Then you'll face the next crisis alone, Dr. Kim said simply. Veltar's light pulsed as he considered. Behind him, reports were coming in of more worlds falling to the Devourers. The Kepler defense fleet had just been destroyed. The core worlds were preparing for evacuation. I accept your terms, he said finally. Good, President Murphy said. How quickly can you get us access to Council space? Immediately, Veltar replied. I have the authorization codes. Admiral Hayes stood up. Then we launch in 6 hours. I'll take the 7th Fleet to rendezvous with what's left of your forces. How many ships? Valtar asked. 300 combat vessels, Hayes replied, plus support ships. That's not very many against the Devourers. It's not about numbers, Dr. Kim explained. It's about doing things they don't expect. General Carter smiled grimly. We're going to teach those machines why the Council was afraid of us in the first place. As preparations began, Valtar sent a message to the Council leadership. Many would be angry about the terms he had agreed to. Some would call him a traitor for giving humans so much power, but as he watched human crews preparing their ships with incredible speed and efficiency, he began to hope for the first time in weeks. These people moved with purpose and confidence. They weren't afraid of the unknown. Ambassador, Dr. Kim said, approaching him with a tablet, we've been analyzing your tactical data. I think we know why the Devourers are winning. Why? Valtar asked. You fight like you think, she explained. Logically, systematically, predictably. The Devourers are machines. They understand logic better than you do. And humans? Dr. Kim smiled. We fight like we live. Chaotically, creatively, stubbornly. We don't give up, and we don't follow the rules when the rules don't work. Will that be enough? We're about to find out, she said. But I'll tell you one thing. The Devourers have never faced anything like us before. And that might just be enough to surprise them. Outside the station, the human fleet was assembling. Ships from across the solar system joined Admiral Hayes's flagship. Each vessel was different, built by different colonies with different ideas. About how to fight in space. It wasn't the largest fleet in the galaxy. It wasn't the most advanced. But it was something the universe had never seen before. A human battle fleet going to war not for conquest or glory, but to save the very people who had rejected them. The galaxy was about to learn what humans were. Truly capable of when they stopped asking for permission and started taking action. The combined fleet gathered at the Kepler Defense Station, or what was left of it. Half the massive structure was gone, torn apart by Devourer weapons. The other half still burned in the cold of space. Admiral Scott Hayes stood on the bridge of his flagship Liberty, watching Council ships arrive to join his force. Admiral Zexgreen-S vessel approached slowly, its crew probably wondering what to expect from the humans they had rejected decades ago. Open a channel to the Council flagship, Hayes ordered. Admiral Zexgreen appeared on the screen, his 6 legs clicking nervously on his bridge floor. Admiral Hayes, I must admit, I'm surprised you came to help us. We're not doing this for you, Hayes replied honestly. We're doing this because the Devourers won't stop with your space. But that doesn't mean we can't work together. Your ships are unusual, Zexgreen said, studying the human fleet through his sensors. The human vessels looked nothing like Council ships. Where Council vessels were smooth and elegant, human ships were blocky and covered with armor. Where Council ships relied on energy shields, human ships had thick metal plating that could be repaired during battle. Different doesn't mean wrong, Hayes said. You'll understand soon enough. Captain Steve Wilson commanded the human destroyer Phoenix. His crew was a mix of people from Earth, Mars, and the space stations. They had trained together for years, learning to adapt to any situation. Captain, called his tactical officer, Lieutenant Amy Davis. Devourer scouts detected on the edge of the system. They're watching us? Let them watch, Steve said. They've never seen ships like ours before. Maybe we can teach them something new. The Devourers had been studying Council technology for 10,000 years. They knew exactly how Council ships worked, how their crews thought, how their weapons functioned. But human technology was completely unknown to them. Dr. Patricia Kim worked frantically in the Liberty Science Lab. She was analyzing the Devourer data with help from Council scientists who had escaped the fallen worlds. Look at this pattern, she told her assistant, Tony Rivera. Every time they adapt to a weapon, they store the information in their main database. Then they share it with every other Devourer ship. So if we hurt them once, we can't hurt them the same way again. Tony asked. Exactly, Patricia said. But what if we never use the same weapon twice? Is that even possible? Patricia smiled. With human technology, yes, our weapons are modular. We can change their frequency, their power output, their targeting systems. We can modify them faster than they can adapt. The first battle began at dawn on the third day. The Devourers came in a massive wave, 300 ships strong. Their vessels were sleek and deadly, covered with weapons copied from a dozen different Council species. Admiral Zexqueen followed standard Council doctrine. His ships formed defensive lines and began firing in coordinated volleys. For a few minutes, it looked like the battle might go well. Then the Devourers adapted. Our weapons are no longer effective, Zexqueen reported to Hayes. They've learned to counter our energy beams. Then stop using energy beams, Hayes replied. All human ships, attack pattern Delta 7. The human fleet broke formation and scattered in what looked like complete chaos. Council officers watched in horror as human ships seemed to ignore all military discipline, but there was method to the madness. Each human ship attacked independently, using different weapons and tactics. Captain Wilson's Phoenix fired explosive missiles while Captain Lisa Park's Defiance used railgun rounds. Captain Rick Torres's Vengeance attacked with particle beams while the destroyer, Hope, used conventional lasers. The Devourers tried to adapt, but there was nothing consistent to adapt to. Every human ship fought differently. Every attack came from a new angle with a new weapon. This is insane, Admiral Zexqueen muttered as he watched human ships dive through Devourer formations, firing constantly and changing direction every few seconds. This is how humans fight, Hayes replied calmly. We don't follow patterns because patterns get you killed. Commander Nancy Price led a squadron of human fighters against a group of Devourer interceptors. The enemy ships were faster and more maneuverable, but they flew in perfect formation. Break formation, Nancy ordered her pilots. Everyone pick your own target and use your own tactics. The human fighters scattered like birds. Some attacked head-on while others came from above or below. Some used missiles while others used energy weapons. The Devourer ships couldn't predict what was coming next. Within minutes, half the Devourer interceptors were destroyed. The rest retreated in confusion. How did you do that? Asked a Council pilot who had watched the battle. We didn't follow the rules, Nancy replied. There are no rules in a real fight except winning. As the battle continued, something strange began to happen. The Devourers, who had been adapting and learning from every Council tactic, started to slow down. Their responses became delayed and confused. Dr. Patricia monitored the enemy communications from the Liberty sensor station. Admiral, the Devourers are having problems with their adaptation systems. What kind of problems? Hayes asked. They're getting too much conflicting data, Patricia explained. They're trying to adapt to 50 different human tactics at the same time. Their computers can't process it all. You mean we're confusing them to death? Exactly. Their strength is learning from patterns. But we're not giving them any patterns to learn from. The battle turned into a rout. Devourer ships that had seemed invincible began making mistakes. They fired at empty space or collided with each other. Some simply stopped moving altogether, their computer systems overloaded, but the real test came when the Devourer command ship arrived. It was massive, 10 times larger than the biggest human vessel. It had weapons from every species the Devourers had conquered. That thing will destroy us if we attack it normally, Admiral Zexqueen warned. Then we won't attack it normally, Hayes replied. He opened the channel to all ships. All vessels, pattern Chaos 1. Change tactics every 2 minutes. Use every weapon you have in random order. Sir, that makes no tactical sense, protested one of his captains. Good, Hayes said. If it makes no sense to us, it definitely makes no sense to them. The combined fleet attacked the Devourer command ship from every direction at once. Human ships fired missiles, then lasers, then railgun rounds, then particle beams. Council ships followed the human example, switching between different energy frequencies and attack angles. The command ship's defenses tried to adapt but couldn't keep up. Every time its shields adjusted to stop one type of attack, 3 different attacks hit it from other directions. Captain Rick Torres made the final attack run. His ship Vengeance was badly damaged but still flying. He loaded a virus that Dr. Patricia had created into a missile and fired it directly at the command ship's main computer core. "What does the virus do?" Admiral Zexqueen asked. "It makes their computer systems think randomly," Patricia explained. "Instead of logical decisions, they'll make chaotic ones, like humans do." "Exactly like humans do. And their systems can't handle that kind of thinking." The virus spread through the Devourer network like wildfire. Ships that had been fighting in perfect coordination suddenly turned on each other. Some tried to retreat while others attacked their own allies. The great Devourer fleet tore itself apart in confusion. Within hours, it was over. The Devourers were destroyed or disabled. The galaxy was safe. In the aftermath, representatives from all the council species gathered to thank humanity. President Morden himself came to formally invite humans to join the council as full members. "You saved us all," he said to President Murphy during the ceremony. "We were wrong to reject you before." "You weren't wrong," Murphy replied. "You were just scared. We understand fear. We've been afraid plenty of times. But you overcame your fear." "We learned to use it," Murphy corrected. "Fear makes you careful, but it shouldn't make you stop trying." Admiral Hayes stood with Admiral Zexqueen, watching human and alien crews working together to repair damaged ships. "I still don't understand how you fight so effectively without following standard tactics," Zexqueen admitted. "Because standard tactics are predictable," Hayes explained. "And predictable gets you killed. We learned that the hard way over thousands of years of fighting each other." "Will you teach us?" Hayes smiled. "We'll teach each other. You have things we need to learn too." As the celebration continued, Dr. Patricia worked with council scientists to share technology and knowledge. The galaxy would be different now. More chaotic, perhaps, but also more alive. The council had spent 10,000 years maintaining order through rigid control. Now they were learning that sometimes chaos was the answer to problems that order couldn't solve. Children from a dozen different species played together in the station's recreation areas while their parents worked to rebuild what the Devourers had destroyed. The galaxy was healing, stronger than before. Humanity had finally found its place among the stars. Not as junior members or probationary citizens, but as the full equals they had always deserved to be. They brought their chaos, their creativity, and their stubborn refusal to give up, and the galaxy was better for it.